in Shulchan Aruch Siman Tavkov Memtes says Chayavim with Anos B'Tisha B'Av. One is obligated to fast on Tisha B'Av, Uva Yudzai in Tammuz, on the 17th of Tammuz, Uva Gimel Tishrei, and Som Gedalia, Uva Sarah B'Tevet, on the 10th of Tevet, Nei Dvarim Haram, because of all the different things that happened on those days. And the Kosav HaTor, the Torah writes, Som HaSiri Asar B'Teves. We know, as the Navi Zechariah tells us, the fast on the 10th of the month is referring to the fast of the 10th of Teves. Shabbos Samach Melech Bavel al Yushalayim, and that's when the Babylonians began the siege of Jerusalem. And then it says, Beches B'Teves HaYamaisa B'Taimai HaMelech. On the 8th of Teves, 8, 9, and 10 were sad days. 10th is when the day we fast, that the Babylonians began the siege of Jerusalem. On the 8th, it says, on the 8th of Teves, Nechtava Torah Yavamis, the Torah was translated to Greek. B'mei Tamai HaMelech, Uva Choshech La'olam Shlosha Yomim. And it brought bad things to the world. That's a discussion. What was the... We do it all the time. We write Svarim in English. What exactly was the issue with turning into Greek? That's another problem, another time. But on the 8th of Teves, it's when Tamai HaMelech translated the Torah to Greek. And the 9th B'Teves, the Torah writes, V'kosu Rabosenu al Mahu. They didn't tell us. So what exactly does that mean? They didn't tell us what happened. Something is a mystery here. So the very interesting explanation from the Agos HaTor, the Shem HaMafurish and Megillah Tainus, they suggest something. So Oso Hayom, know what Oso Ha'ish. Some claim the 9th of Teves is the day when Oso Ha'ish, Yashka, was born. And others say it was the day where Ezra and Nehemiah when Ezra and Nehemiah both passed away. So that's why the 8th, 9th, and 10th are times of sadness and we fast. So there's an interesting question raised in the Achronim. We know that on Asar B'Teves, as well as the other fast days, we read from Parshas Vayichal. We read a special Kriyas Torah on the fast days. In fact, that's actually a discussion in the Gemara Megillah. In the Gemara, how many aliyahs do you read on a tainus? So one opinion is you have 3. Another opinion is you have 1. So why 1? Why would I think 1? So Rav Selevan explained that it depends on what the nature of the reading of a Kriyas Torah of a tainus is. That some say that the probing purpose of reading for the tainus, it has to do with tshuva, and to give tochacha to the people. We really want to read from Divrei Nevi'im. That's the yikar, reading from the words of the prophets. But as the Gemara tells us in Megillah, Hamafte b'Navi sarach l'chos b'Torah tchila. Kavod Torah you always have to read. So really, there's no real din that we want to create a Torah. We just want to get to the Haftorah. So in that case, 1's enough. We passed in 3 anyway. And interesting as well that we pass in anyway. You need 3. We pass in need 3 aliyahs. So what happens if you're in a shul where you don't have 10 people fasting on Asar B'Teves? So this year, it's a Monday and a Thursday, which is a Thursday. So to less of an issue, there's a discussion. Perhaps if you don't have, depending on what your opinion is going to be, so some suggest if you don't have the appropriate amount of people fasting, then the Takanas Ezra was to read every Monday and Thursday, you'd go back and read from Parashat Shavua. But let's say it wasn't Monday and Thursday, or let's say it was Mincha, so then it's a Shaila, do you read it all? If you don't have 10 fasting, do you read it all? So, some say you need to have 10 fasting, or else you don't read Vayechal at all. Others say, as long as you don't have, maybe even if you have like 6, the majority, that's enough. And the Chasim Sofa will see, even as a bigger Chiddush, he says even if you have no one fasting, even if people aren't fasting for good reason, there was an outbreak, or everyone has a good reason why they're eating, nevertheless, he says you can still read. So in fact, the question is whether, if Kriyas Torah is out to Tainus, so then only the people who are fasting are sheiches to the Tainus. If it's the day itself that requires to read, so then it won't make a difference. So in fact, that's the Chasim Sofer Shita, that in his Shita there was a famous case where he ate on Tisha B'Av. He had to, and then he got an Aliyah. So he felt not only can you get an Aliyah, not only someone who is eating can get an Aliyah, but even a bigger Chiddush, that even if you have no one fasting, you could still read from Parshas Vayechal, because it's the day itself that requires to read from the Parashat Shavua, from the Vayechal. And in fact, someone suggests maybe that, and then that's where the Shulchan Aruch seems to go, because Shulchan Aruch only mentions you need 10 for the Shliach Sibor when he's saying Anenu, but it doesn't say anything about Kriyas Torah Vayechal. So it's mashma from the Shulchan Aruch that it's going out to Chasim Sofer. And some want to say it's Rishi Tason because there's a Shaila as well, Mincha Yom Kippur, Rabbi Kiva Eger, someone who's eating, can you give him an Aliyah? So it depends if it's Midin Kedushas Hayom or Midin Tainus. So he said if it's Midin Kedushas Hayom, why not? If it's Midin Tainus, then no. So the Marcheshet says, and another nafkamina would be is how many brachas in the haftarah do you make? If it's out to Tainus, you stop on Magin David. If it's out Kedushas Yom, you read them all. So the Machaber says you do them all, implying it's out Kedushas Yom HaKippurim, and therefore, even if you're eating, one could still be able to get an Aliyah, and the Ramah seems to go the other way. So that's the issue in terms of if you don't have 10 people. The Chasim Sof is big kiddush. You don't have 10 people fasting. You don't have anyone fasting. It's a shaila among the Achronim if you have less than 10. But the Chasim Sof is the big kiddush. Even if you have no one fasting, you still could read from Parashas Vayechal because it's the day itself. And just to conclude, there's a famous piece in the name of the Avid Roham in terms of Asara B'Teves that Avid Roham writes that Asara B'Teves, the Beis Yosef quotes it, Asara B'Teves is different than all other fast days. Because except for Yom Kippur, we know which we do fast on Shabbos, but even Tisha B'Av, if it falls on Shabbos, we push it off to Sunday, but the Avid Roham says based on a pasuk in Yechezkel, Be'etzem hayom hazeh, just like it says it on Yom Kippur, and therefore you can't push it off, you even have to fast on Shabbos. And the Beis Yosef, V'lo yadati minayin, I have no idea where the Avid Roham got this from. So he wants to know, that's the Beis Yosef, he leaves it as an amazing shita. That, and you can't disprove him that because the way our calendar is set up, it can't come out on Shabbos. A ksas raya to the Avid Roham would be that even though normally we don't fast on Friday, but when Asar B'Teves falls out on Friday, since it says Be'etzem hayom hazeh, we don't push it off. So in that sense, Asar B'Teves we do fast on Friday. It shows it's a little shtickle different. But would you say so far to say, that's a tremendous chiddush to say that you can't fast on Shabbos. So then, in fact, the Minchas Chinuch clearly disagrees with, and also it's Masha from Rashi and Megillah, that it's not true that he talks about the tininesses on Tisha B'Av Shabbos gets pushed off to Sunday, Mashma all the Taniyos. But the Minchas Chinuch writes that Navi never tells us the specific dates of the month. It only gives us the name of the month, the 10th of the month, the 7th of the month. So that's why in the Minchas Chinuch, how come, why do we fast on Shabbos? Why don't we fast on Shabbos? Tisha B'Av is Midivrei Kabbalah, and not eating oneg Shabbos is only Midivrei Kabbalah. So we should fast on Tisha B'Av. So one of the answers given by the Minchas Chinuch is that Einachinami, but the problem is the date is only Midrabanan. So therefore, really, min Midrabanan, you can take any. They never instituted a day. You can pick any day in the month you want. So clearly, it is the opposite. Going to the Abidram, it's Be'etzem Hayom Hazeh, they specifically picked the 10th. Going to the Minchas Chinuch, any day works. So therefore we see that Minchas Chinuch clearly argues with the Abidram. That also seems to be the psak of the Shulchan Aruch, the psak of the poskim, that we don't assume that you would fast. But what's the pshat? We don't pass like this Abidram, but what's the lumdis? So there's a famous Chasam Sofer, there's a Rav Chaim on it as well. But the Chasam Sofer writes that on Asara B'Teves, every year on Asara B'Teves, in the Beis in Shamala God decides in heaven whether the Beis HaMikdash will be destroyed or rebuilt. In fact, the years in the Beis HaMikdash will be destroyed, it goes here in Shamayim on Asara B'Teves. Ki B'shana Shenechel B'Bayis B'Tes Bavi writes, Kvar Nigmar Din B'Yud B'Teves Ufaneha. And he says so too every year. And then he goes on to explain, we know there's the concept of a yortzeit. Yortzeit, strictly speaking, one is supposed to fast on a yortzeit. You know, the Hasidic minhag you eat, but the psak of the Shulchan Aruch is to fast. Let's say, and we know if a yortzeit falls on Shabbos, we don't fast. Or for that matter, if Tisha B'Av falls on Shabbos, we don't fast. When do we fast on Shabbos? If we have a tiny chalom, we have a bad dream. So what's the pshat? Why by a tiny chalom, you have a bad dream, you fast on Shabbos, but for a yortzeit or for Tisha B'Av, no. So the Chasam Sofer writes, so it is, tiny test B'Av, Zel Rak Al Sarah Sha'avra. Any time we're fasting on something in the past, so it's not Docha Shabbos. But a Sarah B'Tevet is like a tiny Chalom Zel Al Bitul Sarah Asida. It is Docha Shabbos. You want to make sure that it's going to take away, or that we're going to have the Beis HaMikdash rebuilt. And therefore, on Asara B'Teves, Danim Lamala and Yibana Beis HaMikdash. And therefore, now you can't fast on Shabbos. And this to conclude, interesting pshat and Rav Shlomo Fisher, that we know different fastings, different things happen. So Yud Zayin Tammuz was the Cheda Ego, the 9th of Av was the Cheda Meraglim. What happened? We don't find anything specific, like what from the back in the day, what happened. So someone has suggested that we don't know exactly when Mechiras Yosef happened, but perhaps maybe we could suggest it would happen on the 10th of Tevis, although it's on a Raya L'Davar to Zeich L'Davar, because Chodesh Tevis is known also as the Mazel Gedi. So therefore we see that's why, and then so if Mechiras Yosef happened, so we always have to do tshuva, but especially doing tshuva for Avos Yisrael, there's always around the parshas where Yosef revealed himself to the brothers, and the brothers get back together, and that's what Asara B'Teves Nishmas Bo, the Sinas Chinam, that's where the Sinas Chinam that the brothers sold Joseph, and that caused Golus Mitzrayim. So now nowadays we have to, on Asara B'Teves we have to pray, the Beis HaMikdash rebuilt, and also a special Indian of fighting the Sinas Chinam, of working our Bedada Mechaveiro, because that's the parish of Avos Yisrael, the Yosef and the brothers getting together.